Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Tanks Blitz. Not going to be doing a garage review this time, but instead, I'm going to do another one of those. Well, I've done one for World of Tanks, and so I'm going to do one for World of Tanks Blitz, and it's the end of the year, so I thought, on World of Tanks, why not say what my favourite tank for each tier was, from tier 1 to 8, because that's all I have. And so, I have World of Tanks Blitz as well, so why don't I say what my favourite tanks for each tier is Blitz Edition. So let's do that, and yes, I have the Tiger II now. Fantastic. Haven't played in it yet, looking forwards to it. Need more credits for equipment before I can actually set off. Well, I don't need the equipment, but I do prefer it. Now, tier 2. I only have 4 tier 2s in my possession, and 3 of them I have got already on World of Tanks. Namely the Panzer II T7 combat car, the Tetrarch, and, well, look at my Panzer II, fantastic. But this tank is not my favourite tank at tier 2 in Blitz. Why, you may ask? Well, the gun has been changed slightly. It's been nerfed to 8 shells in the magazine instead of 10, which is really annoying. And generally I just have this. I have this anyway, so it's the micro mouse, of course. So when the chance arose for me to gain the micro mouse on Blitz, I took it and I have it in my garage. So yes, the micro mouse is in my possession, and well, is there any reason for me to explain why this is my favourite tank in Blitz at tier 2 when its nickname is the micro mouse? Not really, but in case it is, I will say anyway. It's a French tank, obviously. It's in World of Tanks, but it's never sold on World of Tanks since when it was removed. It has never been on sale again, I don't think. And well, what it means is that it has got really good armor. 40 all-round hull armor at tier 2 is amazing. There are tanks that can penetrate you, yes. However, you can penetrate them with a pretty good 37mm gun, 41mm of penetration, which means that you can penetrate your own tank if you aim for weak spots. But just generally, it's a rolling fortress at tier 2, and it's got basically no weak spots. No weak spots and no weaknesses other than the fact that it's slow, and the gun is maybe not as good as comparative guns at the tier, such as the Tetrarch. Tetrarch is a dangerous tank for this. But yeah, this is my favourite tank in Blitz at tier 2. It's got loads of armour, it's got a pretty damaging gun, and it just sort of rolls forwards, kills things, and blocks damage. So that's my favourite tank at tier 2. Now we come to tier 3, and once again I need 4 tier 3s. Don't have the extensive collection because World of Tanks Blitz is more my collector's edition of rare tanks and interesting things that come on sale. So the BTSV. Yeah, I obviously have the Panzer S35, the BT7 artillery, which is given away this Christmas, and this thing, the SU-76I. Ice Claw edition, because it has got the special Ice Claw camo on it. There you go, legendary Ice Claw camo. And this is my favourite tier 3 tank that I have. Why not the BTSV, you ask? Well, it's the SU-76I. That's why. 60mm of frontal hull is the reason why. Because it's based on the Panzer III chassis, which means that it's fairly mobile, because it is based on the Panzer III chassis, hence why it's got 56% manoeuvrability, because, well, 23 tons with a 300 horsepower engine with a 50 km/h top speed limit and a 50 degrees per second traverse speed. That's the reason why. And this is the gun that it gets, a 76mm with 86 penetration and 160 average damage. At tier 3, it's very damaging and very OP, and it's very fun. Because it's a mobile tank destroyer, which has got loads of armour at the front of it, which means that many enemies struggle to penetrate it, and it's got a gun which has 11-second reload and is just ridiculously good. I'm looking at what other tanks have got 60mm of armour at tier 3, and I'm coming up blank. The closest thing I think would be the Panzer S-35, and I think that's the closest we can get at tier 3. I mean, there are tier 4 things that can defeat this, but not many. Not many things can defeat this tank. It's really mobile with a good gun and loads of armour. What more do you need? So yeah, this is my favourite tier 3 tank in World of Tanks Blitz for good reason. Now we come to tier 5, and tier 5 has got a few of my favourite tanks. It's got Panzer V, it's got the Hetzer, it's got the Matilda as well. But there's also this thing, the A32, the T-34 prototype, and that's also a fun little tank. But it's a it's a toss-up between the A32 and the Panzer V, and I think I'm going to go with the A32 because they're both fun tanks to drive. The Panzer V only sees its own tier, whereas this thing does see a tier higher. But this thing is just really fun and mobile. It's just a fun little thing to drive around in. You can, barrel up the top of mountains in it. You can get nice side shots on people and then run off at a really high top speed. Your armor will defeat some guns because it may look like an A20, but it has better armor than the A20, plus it's sloped because after all it is the T-34 prototype, so it's got sloped armor the same as the T-34. The only difference is that it doesn't have the best gun of the T-34, but it's just a fun tank to drive around in because it's really fast, really mobile, and you can just run around the battlefield and you just sneak up behind people and just sort of do a shot on the move and then run off again at top speed. It's just a fun tank to mess around in. So there's that. Now it's up to tier 5, and well, I think I have got the most tier 5 tanks in my collection compared to other tiers. And there are a lot of them that I like, most certainly, such as the EZ4 Sherman. This thing is quite fun to drive around, and it's nothing spectacular, but it is fun. Panzer IV Hydro is basically a more mobile Panzer IV. That's always fun to drive around in. I mean, the T14 is pretty good for its tier. That's a pretty good heavy tank. The Churchill I, of course, sitting here with its nice high-velocity gun, but I don't think there's any doubt as to which of these tanks is my favourite, and it is, of course, the Panzer V/4. The Panther with the Panzer IV turret at tier 5. Why is this tank my favourite tank, you may ask? Because look at it. It's a Panther hull. And when I say Panther hull, that's literally what it is. It's a Panther hull, which means that it still has 85mm of frontal armour. That's more frontal armour than most of these tanks have. It's probably more frontal armour than any of these heavy tanks have, apart from the Churchills. But it's definitely more armour than any of these things have. It's going to be more armour than anything the Americans can put out, apart from maybe the T1 Heavy. Yeah, T1 Heavy... Actually no, T1 Heavy's got 2mm less frontal armour, and it's not sloped. I mean, it's more frontal armour than the KV-1. More frontal armour than any of those things. More frontal armour than these things, apart from the 82 and the Excelsior. Because Britain, once again, messing it all up. Putting armour on their tier 5 tanks, well they do. But, yeah, so, it's a Panther. 85 frontal hull, 40 side, 40 rear. The turret is, of course, a basic Panzer IV with the Panzer IV gun. But, I mean, it's just so great. for defeating enemy shots. So it's got really good frontal armour. It's got the same sort of gun as the Panzer IV, which means that whatever the Panzer IV can penetrate, this tank can do it. It's pretty fast, 55 km/h top speed, 700 horsepower engine for the 40-ton tank, 32 degrees per second traverse speed. It's a pretty fast little medium tank. Well, it's not little, not really little, is it? Look at it. There's the Chinook-I, there's the 5/4, there's the EZ-4 Sherman. It's not exactly a little tank, but it's a very fast mobile, well, not very fast, but it is a very mobile tank, very mobile medium tank with more armour than most heavy tanks at its tier, which is sloped as well. Let's not forget the sloping. This is sloped armour on here, so it's even more effective thickness. This tank can defeat most of its own tier guns with angling. I mean, if you angle and bait shots, they'll just ping harmlessly off of your frontal armour, and that's just really good. This is just a really good medium tank, and that's why it gets its place as my favourite tier 5 tank. Tier 6 we sort of can't really do anything with. This is the only tier 6 I have, the small term. Let me have a look at tier 6s. Like, if I could have any tier 6, what would I have? Probably the Churchill VII. I think the Churchill VII would be my favourite tier 6 tank. Yeah, because I don't want anything Japanese. KV-2 is fun, but no. Definitely be this thing. There we go. So, this is the thing that I would have. The Churchill VII. You've seen the fully upgraded version in my standard PC World of Tanks. And why would I have this tank? Because it has loads of armour. It's slow, but it feels like a Churchill. So, it's just the fun factor of driving it around and just imagining that you're in this huge tank. It's just rolling along, crushing people under its heavily armoured tracks. And it may not have the best gun, but it's a pretty reliable gun if you sort of get up in people's faces, because you do have a fair amount of armour. So this would probably be my favourite tier 6 tank. If I had it, but of course, stuff that I have, this is the only thing I have, so this has to be it. But yes, so this is my second favourite tier 6 tank. So now we come to tier 8. Or tier 7, sorry. And I do have a fair amount of tier 7s. I have, of course, got the Tankenstein, which is a fun little number if you enjoy really slow moving and turning and really not mobile at all tanks. Of course, the Tiger. I mean, everyone loves the Tiger, with the special Gamescom 2016 camo. Plus the Tiger P, of course. Got this little thing. But I also have the Type 62 Dragon, which was more for me about the camo, frankly, than the tank, because I can't really use scout tanks at all. But that's a fun little thing. But it's a toss-up between this, the Helsing, or the T23-3. So the question comes down to it: which do I prefer? Do I prefer the Nomad, dedicated to the US Independence Day, or do I prefer the special Halloween tank, which is fun? To be honest, T23-3, that's what I prefer. It's a really fun barreling medium tank. The gun on it is terrible if you're looking to penetrate heavy tanks from the front, but if you're smart and you pop out of cover when the enemies relax their concentration, you can punish them with this really rapid-fire gun. Because this tank is all about the maneuverability, it's all about the guerrilla tactics. You sort of poke out of cover, you shoot them, and you pull back into cover. It's really the ultimate in peekaboo technology, because this is all about playing to the enemy's weakness. You can circle them, definitely. It's got the maneuverability to do that, but if you're in an alleyway and the enemy's being flanked, that's like the perfect time, because this is all about peekaboo. The enemy come along, they relax their concentration, you punish them for it. If the enemy goes charging recklessly after someone and you see them rush past you, you punish them by dealing about 500 damage in near enough like 6 seconds. This is all about doing rapid damage to an enemy in small chunks, because this gun really is terrible. It's the 76 T91A gun, 150 penetration, 160 average damage. It's your fairly standard gun. 0.38 accuracy, 2.68 second end time. It's your standard sort of 76mm gun. But it's all about, well, the enemy relaxes their concentration for a second. They turn their turret or their tank away from you to face someone else. You pop out, you put a shot into them. They then get distracted by you, allowing your teammate to shoot at them. They get distracted by your teammate, you pop out and shoot them again, and it continues going on like that. Or you just put several shots into them, and it's just a really fun tank to just sort of do that annoying tactic to people, doing small amounts of damage whenever they're not concentrating. And you can rack up a lot of damage by doing that, because it's just something you can repeat over and over again. Because everyone's going to have a lax concentration. I do it. If I'm driving a tank, someone will distract me. Oh dear, there's that guy. Better face him. Bang! Oh no, I've been shot by the guy that I forgot about in front of me. And so it's all about, when your enemy does that, you capitalize on it, and it's just a really fun tank to play that way. Of course, the Helsing is, of course, a very fun tank with those dual 85mm guns, but for me, the T23-3 just takes it, with that mobile peekaboo tactic. And now we come to Tier 8, and I only have 3 Tier 8s, most recently this thing, and I've yet to play it, but that's with the 105 gun. I'm not too sure how that performs, because it's more expensive and I think more inaccurate. Let's have a look. Oh no, 0.32, but with a higher aim time. No, same aim time. It's the same aim time with better dispersion, but and better pen, but less rounds per minute. Yeah. Oh well. So it's a choice between the T34 Independence, which is a fun camo, don't get me wrong. This is a really good camo on this tank. But I can't use it, so it's not going to be that. The IS-3 Defender, or the King. And I've yet to play the King, so it's going to be the Defender. But let me play the thing once. I won't have any equipment on it, but I'll play it once and see how it goes. So, successful game. That was very fun. So, second class mastery badge. Got some stuff, 2,300 damage, second on the team list. Me and this IS-3 were just taking the village by storm. There were about 4 of them there, and it was just me and the IS-3, and we just wrecked them. So that was fun. Successful game. To set that guy on fire. Only the 1 kill, but well, I did the most amount of damage on either team. So, a choice between the Tiger II or the IS-3 Defender, and well, I've just played the Tiger II, and I, to be honest, enjoyed it more than the Defender. Because the IS-3 Defender is fun, with its auto-loading 3-shot magazine. But the Tiger II is just the Tiger II. I mean, this is just super fun. It's the Tiger II. I mean, what more can you say? I mean, it's just The armour is pretty good. It of course has got that weak spot, the lower glacis, but it's got the good selection of guns. It's got the 105 or the 88, two different 105s in fact. Yeah, so the 105 aims quicker and does more damage, but has a lower rate of fire. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Okay. But yeah, I think I'm gonna say Tiger 2 because it's the King Tiger. I just prefer it more, the playstyle, than the IS-3 Defender, because the IS-3 Defender really does get up in people's faces, but this is the King. You can't defeat the King. So, in short, Tiger 2's got good armor, and it's just the King Tiger. How do you argue against it? So, those are my favourite tanks at each tier in Wild Flex Blitz. So I'll thank you for watching, and goodbye.